What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another edition of Wrestling After Show, coming to you from the After Show studios right here, the palatial After Show studios located in the heart of the Mid-Atlantic territory. My name is Heath Haynes.
And I'm Jonny Fairplay.
And we're here to talk about some wrestling today, mostly stuff we like, some stuff we don't like, and everything in between. We've got a big topic that's been dominating a lot of the dialogue in the internet wrestling world, and that has been The Rock. And what, if any, will his role be this year in WrestleMania? We're going to be talking about that, and we're also going to do a little trip back to the self-same Mid-Atlantic territory with a very special, never before seen.
It's true.
A photographic sort of a spectacle that we've put together here at Wrestling After Show. We're going to be doing that at the end of the show. But first off, we want to dive into some recent events, namely Raw last night. As we're taping, we saw the debut of one of the world's preeminent luchadors. And okay, so he was Pentagon.
Yeah.
He was Pentagon Jr.
Yeah.
He was Penta El Zero Miedo.
Yeah.
But now he's just Penta.
Yeah. That seems like a Vinceism. Vince loved killing people's last names, first names, whatever names, giving you one name and didn't make sense, and then giving you back your name.
But
I'm okay with Penta.
Well, for him, I think there was he couldn't be Pentagon. I think there was like some copyright, some legal action.
Yeah.
So that's why he sort of went through all the iterations of the thing. But I think, yeah, boiling it down to just Penta, I think it's perfect. He made his debut last night on Monday Night Raw in the opening match against Chad Gable. And we spoke. We haven't spoken today about it, but we spoke last night right after.
I was losing my mind.
Yeah, it was a great match. I thought both guys looked good, but Penta looked like a star. He's there in basically his de facto hometown, San Jose.
Oh, yeah.
Had all his family in the front row, which they didn't really explain that at first.
No, it comes out, you got little girls crying, and you see, here's the whole thing with Penta that I did not like prior to Monday night that I love more than anything now. Penta comes out, you see the red and the black, and it's dark and almost evil. I feel like there's a sense of evil, borderline Satan there. I mean, just with the red and black and all that in the fight. And then you see the eyes, and then you see the mouth, and you see, and then there's the almost low archetype tribute outfit and all that. And then he starts doing the Scott Hall surf walk. Yeah, I'm just like, all right. And then you see the kids crying, and it's just like, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah,
but I felt by the end, you saw him do what he does. You saw the personality is what makes Penta so special.
Right. He's not just doing a bunch of moves. There's some character there.
He says so much with there's so many mask guys that did absolutely nothing once they put that mask on. Rey Mysterio, huge exception to the rule. Penta, huge exception to the rule. Like, that's the issue with Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee does not emote. So, and I was listening to Wade Keller, the Wade Keller podcast. Shout out, friends of the show. And he was like, you have Michael Cole going, a lot of people say that Rey Mysterio is the greatest luchador ever. Wait till you see this guy. And Wade was just like, the build-up that Michael Cole is giving is the build-up for Rey Fenix, not for Penta, because Penta doesn't have those moves that Rey Fenix does. But I'm just like, Penta's got some pretty cool moves, Wade.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I watched with my 7-year-old, and she had never seen a Mexican destroyer. She's like, how is that even possible, the Mexican destroyer? She goes, it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. And
I'm just like, I was like, well, you do gymnastics? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, they do too. She's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, a lot of it. And so she's like, I like this Penta guy. But after the match, you have the interview, and I'm sitting there, and I don't know Spanish, but I felt through osmosis, and then the English that he did use, I felt I understood Penta for the first time ever. By the end of that whole deal, I understood he's a good guy. I understand he loves his family. I understand that he's passionate. I understand he's just fucking cool. That's what the look means. It doesn't mean Satan. It doesn't mean skeleton man. It just means cool. And you know, and in homage and honor to his luchador predecessors from before, and all that put together, that is a fucking superstar.
Well, I thought it was I thought the whole presentation was compelling. My familiarity with Penta, the character I guess we'll now call Penta, goes all the way back to Lucha Underground days, which I still say season 1 of Lucha Underground was groundbreaking, if you will, and really compelling television. And it kind of got me back into pro wrestling at a time where I wasn't paying attention. And Penta was a big part of that. And so when he first appeared, and Ray Phoenix, they were adversaries on Lucha Underground that first season. They weren't a tag team, to the best of my memory. And they actually had a lot of matches against each other. So when AEW starts up and they're part of that, I'm like, oh, I remember this guy from Lucha Underground. I'm going to check him out. And it was like a different guy.
Yeah,
it was just clown show.
Well,
and AEW,
he's just a guy.
Well, sure, but
that's a problem.
In my mind, I was like, oh, well, I guess, it was probably just my perception at the time, and maybe the novelty of Lucha Underground and the novelty of that character, the newness of it all is what made the impression on me. But last night, for the first time, I was like, oh, that's the guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy I saw on Lucha Underground. The match was tremendous. They had plenty of time.
Well, that's an issue, and I do have notes.
Well, yeah, I know what you're going to bring up. They had plenty of time. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, they went over.
Maybe.
Allegedly.
We're gonna get to that because I cry bullshit on all that. They had plenty of time. They worked a good looking match. Penta sold his ass off like a babyface is supposed to.
Like a wrestler is supposed to.
selling that leg. Which made sense because that's the big piece of the centerpiece of Gable's arsenal is that ankle lock. My two problems with the action in the match was up to a certain point, the most devastating offensive maneuver in the entire match was done by Penta to Penta when he did the dive out of the ring. And I don't know if Gable was a little out of position or whatnot, but
Gable had chatted with the Miz on his way to the ring.
He took that full force, just flipped and just landed on his back outside of the ring. I was like, that sucks when like the most damage that's been done to you the entire match is you just did it to yourself.
Penta versus the Miz. Do you think we see the fastest catapult ever so that Miz eats all of that?
Well,
because Miz is the king of the Olay on the catching you on a whatever.
Well, if right now I think Penta is going to be in a stiff program with the ringside floor if he keeps up any of that. And then the Canadian destroyer, in this case, the Mexican destroyer, is notoriously sort of a fake ass looking move because it's like, who's doing what to who? And that's my problem with a lot of the lucha moves is the guy that's getting the move done to them is doing most of the work. But the way he set it up with the run beforehand and made it actually look like, physics-wise, it would work.
It made more sense.
He had the momentum, and the momentum is what takes it over, not necessarily your opponent turning a flip and you just holding on to him.
Did you like the springboard off the bottom rope leg drop, like in like the opening minute of the match?
Oh, I didn't hate it, I guess, because I don't remember.
It was a little clunky, but like I saw him going for it. I'm just like, I think he's going for a springboard off the bottom rope, and he did into it, and like it was really clunky. It was odd, and the more I processed it, I'm just like, I fucking love it. There was innovative offense.
There wasn't a lot in this match that I didn't like, except for the aforementioned dive.
Yeah.
He gets the win with sort of in
with a 3-parter, the Mexican Destroyer, the whatever his arm thing, the
sacrifice.
The sacrifice. Holy moly.
In 2K25 terms, he used his signature and his finisher. So the signature would be the arm breaker, the sacrifice, which he used to great effect in Lucha Underground, and was always a highlight of the match. And then he did his like what was like a flipping pile driver thing,
the Penta driver.
Yeah.
So I felt because there's another move.
Kevin Owens was probably like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. They called something else a pit. I felt like he was getting the Taz treatment. Like, remember in ECW, it was like the Taz mission, the Tazplex, the Northern Lights Tazplex, the belly to belly Taz. You know, it was very Tazercised, and a lot of there was a lot of eye rolling in the back in ECW over that.
Is that right?
And as it's a rumored innuendo, PW Insider said he went over on his match time, went over on his promo time. And so if that was the case, there was potentially eye rolling there. Just imagine once they watch the show and hear Michael Cole with the pentaplex and the penta plancha and the, you know.
Well, so he scores the victory, and then cuts a promo, and that was the most English I've ever heard him speak.
And he sounded cool, because I have no idea what Penta sounded like. Like, I never heard him say anything but Sarah Mer, whatever.
Yeah.
The no fear thing.
And then even that I thought was kept to a minimum last night, because that was another thing in his AEW appearance.
That's all it was.
That's all. Yeah, exactly. The whole time
there was nothing else to it.
And again,
such a one-dimensional character.
And again, and that's the thing in AEW is just, you know, it's like talent left to their own devices are going to do the things they do. They're going to get their shit in, you know? And so then that's the thing with WWE, you know, it's like, yeah, we love all your shit. That's why you're here. But here's how we want you to do it. You know, so it was tempered. Cut the promo, and the scuttlebutt today is that he ruffled some feathers by going overtime, and then therefore they had to cut time from other segments. Yeah, maybe that happened, but I call bullshit on that, because
isn't the whole reason we're on Netflix because we don't have to do that?
Exactly. The show,
we literally were told 1 week ago.
Yeah, Triple H, just take your time. You know, we're gonna do the things we're gonna do. So
we're telling stories.
So they went long on a show that was only 2.5 hours, when they obviously have a 3+ hour window, or however much time they want. So
I'm with the bullshit too, because like you and I watched a 1 hour plus interview with Triple H on Sports Illustrated.
Yeah,
in which he said we can go 48 minutes, we can go 4.5 hours. We have no time constraints. The way we're going to do commercials is different because this is different.
Yeah.
So we don't have to do a commercial right here or right here. We will and we can, but we're not forced to.
Yeah.
Our hand is not forced in any way, and they are more than agreeable with however we want to do this.
Yeah, so I call bullshit on that story. Speaking of commercials, while we're here, week 2 of the Netflix on Raw experience, I myself, not being a top tier subscriber to Netflix, enjoyed a entirely commercial free program
with all kinds of bonus shit.
It's so cool. When you don't have commercials, you get there's all these like either backstage promos or Kathy Kelly. Jackie Redmond has the it's not the Mean Gene position And it's not on the ramp, but it's obviously in the crowd. The ring is like in the background, and they'll do stuff out there.
That's kind of the Mean Gene. That was the Superstars Mean Gene.
There was a backstage New Day segment that didn't make it to air, and if you had commercials, that was the only time you would have seen New Day on the show.
Are they having the tag team match against Rey Mysterio?
No, they've got beef with Rey Mysterio, and they want to address it, but that was gonna. I think that's a piece of storytelling that we're gonna, as far as like the mystery partner.
Yeah,
Penta was gonna be the mystery partner, and then they decided to go another way with it.
I prefer.
I like the way they did
it. Chad Gable was the greatest first opponent ever.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see those two feud for a month.
Yeah, it was great. But there was in that introductory. Oh no, it wasn't even the first segment of the show, because we're going to talk about the first segment of the show. But Chad Gable gets his entrance, and for you, your experience was commercial. My experience was minute and a half Chad Gable in-ring promo that was awesome, where he just laid out exactly where he's at in the year 2025. He's got his bucket list. He's got his things he's checking off.
Oh, what's he gonna do?
He's gonna get singles gold.
Oh,
and he's gonna beat this luchador. And they've got this luchador coming out here right now tonight. And I'm gonna tell you, San Jose, he's blah blah blah. But it was just like, when was the last time Chad Gable came out and just cut a promo, and it wasn't some backstage whatever,
some stupid interplay with Otis.
It was awesome. And here's the other thing. Not only are there no commercials, but if in just like the interstitial ad reads where Michael Cole is like, this segment of Raw is brought to you by Cricket Wireless. Cricket Wireless, the best, so it's not a commercial, but it's a built-in promotional. All that audio is muted.
Oh.
So it's just like, yeah, they're not trying to sell you shit. And I am not paying for the most expensive Netflix. However,
I double-checked. $22.99 is my bill.
Yeah. And nothing but ads.
Well, nothing but and the same that stupid tax commercial with the ooh la la ooh wee wee, the Run the Jewels song.
Yeah,
that I'm hearing it now. I love Run the Jewels. One of my favorite hip hop bands of all time. Yeah. Maybe they'll rap. I'm not sure. Anyway, one of the two genres. I have everything they've done. Run the Jewels 1, 2, 3, and 4. I literally put Run the Jewels 4 on sale.
Because that's the one that's got that song.
I never want to hear the song again. I hate it that much. I am so over it.
Wow. So I'm going to keep riding this no ad wave as long as I can, because I feel like they're going to catch up with me, and maybe this is something that they'll address, because I probably feel like there are enough premium subscribers like yourself that are going to be like, what the fuck, what are we paying for?
What am I paying for?
But every time I started, I started it last night. Usually I'll watch the first 2 hours at Dad's house, and then I'll watch the last hour at my house because he wants to go to bed. When I started the stream at his house, your subscription tier now provides live events with ad support.
Yeah,
that's the verbiage. Yeah, but no ad support. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to keep riding this wave. I love it.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone. I mean, like if you've listened to the Wade Killer Pro Wrestling podcast with the call-ins, it was
all over the place last week too. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing like it. It's people that have premium are not getting ads. People that have premium are getting ads. People that are like it there's no determining factor.
That's wild.
So VPN, no VPN, just it's whatever Netflix feels that you deserve. And apparently
they love me.
I got the lump of coal in my stocking, and I get the fucking commercials with ooh la la ooh wee wee.
The Netflix energy is strong with
palpable.
Me. Yeah, it's palpable.
Yeah.
It is palpable.
Emperor Palpatine.
Yes, that too. So so speaking of the introductory segment of this episode of Raw, it was another great. You had CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre all
True, back
on
to the
mic.
voice of reason.
Yeah, the voice of reason.
You have the voice of the voiceless, but the voice of is like,
Yeah.
are you guys? Do I really have to come out here and explain to you how stupid you are?
And who actually said it last? I think Rollins was like, well, everything you're saying is the truth.
Yeah.
And that's that's the deal with our buddy Drew. But this is going to lead into our big topic. Well, before we get to that, let's make mention of our new and our inaugural women's intercontinental champion, Lyra Valkyria. And I had a feeling she was going over. She had new gear, new hairdo kind of thing happening with some color. I think a new entrance. I don't remember her specifically with the wings,
the woo,
yeah, making the noise and everything.
So once again, I watched with my 7-year-old.
What did she think?
Okay, well, for those of you who are just like, are you just the worst parent ever? Was at 10 o'clock? No school. We got snow on Friday. There's literally nothing on the ground out there.
Are they still out of school for snow?
Yeah.
Wow.
Still, city and county. She's in the county, which there's some back roads that aren't getting the attention.
I can see that.
So I get, but city, come on, stop it.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, so you had no school, so that's why she's up.
What did she think of Lyra Valkyria?
Oh my! Well, she comes there, and she's like, "Why do they do the woo?"
Yeah,
and I was just like, she's like, "Oh, I like her." I was like, well, hold on, check out the other lady first. And so Dakota Kai comes out. The rainbow. We love rainbow. We love colors.
Yeah.
Oh no. Lyra Valkyria. Oh wow. The wings, the feathers.
Yeah.
The names of the moves after bird stuff.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love that?
She looked great last night.
They kind of have a hard on for her. Like this is like every time you're just like, is it her time, or is she just the building block here? She's like the tag straps. You're like, there's no way.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Yeah.
Here. I mean, like, isn't it Dakota Kai's time? Nope.
Yeah, no.
They like
Lyra Valkyria.
I do too. I think that's a smart. I do feel she's one dimensional. Like she is what Penta was in AEW, and I think they need to figure that out. And maybe this Intercontinental Championship will allow her the opportunity to do that.
They're already showing kind of a darker side to her character. She's still a babyface, but there's like a little edge there. I think she's going to turn full heel.
But stop the bird reference. Like every sentence doesn't have to have a bird reference.
Sure.
It's just like, I will be pecking my way to the top.
Yeah.
I think she's the Red Rooster right now.
They'll drop that stuff. I think they're probably going to turn her heel. A couple things about the match, though. They really put her over on commentary, mentioning the fact that she was NXT Women's Champion already, that she won by defeating Becky Lynch. You mentioned that on Monday Night Raw, that she has a win over Becky Lynch. That's meaningful,
I believe so.
And when she almost went there, with the King of the Ring. So obviously they do have a lot of faith in her. But she's
foreign. They like the accent. She's there's exoticness to her.
Yeah.
So
they took a hellacious bump though, right out of the gate, the suplex onto the floor.
Oh,
which was, I guess, because that was the story of the rest of the match, where she just worked on Dakota's back the entire time, and that's another thing, because they took that bump. And that's the break spot. That's when they go to ads, except for at my house where I get to keep watching the match. And then it's Lyra gets her back in the ring. They're both selling their backs, but then Lyra just like starts drilling in, really working the back. And usually the way the commercial breaks work is when they come back from commercial, that's when whoever's been selling starts making a comeback, so you get to actually see the selling part of it, and it makes watching the matches way better without the commercial. It certainly is.
You think, is there any way you can elaborate every week to tell me how much better your viewing experience is than mine?
Like I said, I'm going to keep riding this wave.
All right, fair enough.
Lyra gets the win. I think it was a good call, and we'll see what kind of programs they get her into with that now, that with the addition of that title.
I'd be cool with a Lyra Dakota Kai feud.
Sure. I think Damage Control is dead in the water as baby faces. So I think turning them back heel would be ideal. But if you're going to turn Lyra Valkyria heel, which I think either way, and that was the other thing. This is a babyface match. So yeah, one of the if they're going to
keep going,
if they're going to proceed, one of them needs to turn heel. But going back to like the opening segment, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, all on the microphone, all airing their various grievances and stating their objectives and everything. And the main objective for everybody right now is the Royal Rumble, which is starting to look pretty stacked. So declared for the Royal Rumble as of this point, John Cena,
sure,
CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, I believe.
Yep.
Jey Uso. And so right there,
the who's who.
Yeah. So it's going to be, I don't see a lot of matches on that card that aren't the I think there's going to be, maybe a women's championship match, men's championship match. Obviously, we got the ladder match already.
4. We had 4 last year, which I love.
And that was it. And then the 2 Royal Rumbles.
Yeah.
So
that I went to Tampa. It was my first time ever seeing a Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And so we get there early, and there's literally like a 5 city blocks surrounding the stadium party. There's live bands going. There's people dressed up as your.
I saw you on the pre-show.
I was on the pre-show. We're checking out, like it's just outside bars everywhere, and people are coming. They're like, "Oh my God, Jonny Fairplay, why are you here?" I'm like, "It's the fucking Royal Rumble."
Yeah.
So anyway, one fan had come up and they're just like, "Do you want to know the match order?" I'm just like, "Yeah, no spoilers." And he's like, "No, just." And I was like, "What?" And he's just like, "It's the women's match. It's the was it Owens and Roman Reigns
Roman last year,
and then the 3-way for the U.S. title, and then the men's rumble." And I was like, 4 matches, that's it? And you're like, "Yeah, it sucks, huh?" And I'm just like, the only thing better than 4 matches, 3.
Yeah.
But it was kind of perfect for me because the U.S. title match, boom, beer run for me.
Yeah.
There's Titus O'Neil selling lottery tickets for a charity.
Yeah.
Throw him a 50 ski.
Yeah.
It's for the kids.
It certainly is. So. Man, Florida and you and charities seem to that's a winning combo, it seems.
Kayfabe, brother. I'm a heel. I'm trying to keep working.
So
I loved it.
And this
4 matches.
And this is actually an argument against having the Rumble be 2 nights, because why do you need 2 nights? Why do you need more? You don't need more matches. Because that takes your
people out of the stars.
It takes your big stars out of the Rumble. And here we are. I mean, the reason we're talking about the Rumble right now is because everybody that's announced for it is all stars. And you're going to have some surprises, but I mean, wow, just with those guys so far. And there's a lot of questions surrounding the Royal Rumble this year and WrestleMania in general, as there always are at this time of year. But the biggest question on my mind is The Rock and the will he, won't he of it all. And I just find it super ironic that last year, kind of no place for The Rock.
No.
And WrestleMania. He shows up, shoehorns himself in.
I was about to say, he literally shoehorned himself into a place where there was no place.
Shows up, shoehorns himself in.
You're welcome, everyone.
Gets not the desired response to self-same shoehorning. Turns heel, and then participates and what was one of the most memorable pre-WrestleMania seasons of all time.
Yeah.
And then 2 nights of super memorable WrestleMania main events. So it all worked out.
Yeah.
Didn't need to work out that way, but that's the way it worked out. This year, he definitely, in my mind, has a role to play in WrestleMania. And at this point, seemingly, according to almost everything we've seen on screen, he ain't doing it.
Yeah.
And this is going back to last week, the glad handy Hollywood, not even The Rock or the final boss, just
corporate suit.
Yeah, just Dwayne Johnson, member of the board.
Sure.
That's who we saw last week on Raw. But there's definitely a role for him to play this year in WrestleMania, and seemingly it seems like he's not going to be there. Before we get to what happened after Raw last week, and I'm speaking mainly of the promo that he cut on NXT, what, if any, I mean, what's your take on it? And as far as, like, do you see a role for The Rock this year? And as much as he was fucking things up last year by showing up and trying to be a part of it, I think he's kind of really fucking up things this year by not being a part of it. What do you think about that?
I think there's two schools of thought here. I think he's I'm leaning 55% this. It's Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania.
Okay.
I'm leaning towards that more than anything else. And I'm more than okay with that. I love it.
Yeah.
I love The Rock. So, in The Rock or Roman Reigns, or as Angry Grandma calls him, Norman Reigns.
Norman Reigns. I shit myself. Is there more of that out there?
Oh yeah.
We're talking. Okay,
the Angry Grandma.
Tell them what you're talking about.
There's this TikToker, which I guess now Red Carter.
Yeah.
Called Angry Grandma, and she just hates all kinds of stuff, and her son's always fucking with her. Like she goes to the Spirit Halloween store, and they have the Angry Grandma costume, and she's like, "What the shit is this?" And he comes here, and he's just like, "It's like that kind of looks like." She goes, "It is me. What are you like? What's in here?" And she opens up. She goes, "It's my cigarettes." It's her Pall Malls, and then it's like, "It's my goddamn toothbrush."
But you sent me one where she's like, he's like, "Hey, Grandma, what are you doing?" "Well, I'm trying to watch this wrestling," and it's gold.
Yeah, her favorite wrestler. He's like, "Who's your favorite?" She's like, "Stone Cold, The Undertaker."
Yeah,
and he's like, "Well, who are you like?" He's just like, "Norman Reigns."
Norman Reigns. That's how I'm calling him that from now on.
But of all
getting back,
all the opponents for The Rock, Norman Reigns works a perfect easy style for The Rock.
I had not thought about that. You're absolutely correct. And I think storyline wise, that's the match that makes the most sense.
So that's option A. Option B, The Rock did it last year. And The Rock is not getting any younger. Maybe at the end of the day, The Rock's just like, you know what's easier than wrestling? Not wrestling.
Yeah, true.
Like, does he need the money?
Yeah.
Is he getting paid any more? Kind of, sort of, not really.
Definitely doesn't need the money. I happen to agree with you in that I think he is going to work WrestleMania.
55%, you're on the same.
But yeah, it's getting there. But then, you have to ask yourself the question, well, then how do you explain Raw?
Yeah.
And I explained it like this. Last year, he didn't want to turn heel. He had to turn heel. That to salvage the situation that he had created.
Yeah.
So he wants to be the babyface, and this was his opportunity to be that babyface, if even only for a short time.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's gonna have to turn heel to work with The Rock, but then to work with Norman Reigns.
Yes.
But then I started thinking. And this has been another part of it. And I started asking this question all the way back after War Games. It's like when the OG Bloodline won War Games, it's like, okay, but what did you win? What did you win? Norman Reigns wins the Ulafala and Tribal Combat. He's the head of the table. He's the tribal chief. Where's your tribe? What, again, what did you win?
Yeah. And you literally, on the week that you did this, had The Rock usurp you on social media, explaining that he's the real life tribal chief.
I'm getting there. So, what if in this moment of super babyface Roman Reigns, and we always said that we didn't want to see super babyface Paul Heyman, what if it in this moment where they're still like, intertwined, Roman Reigns is like, I need a bloodline. I need a tribe. I'm the tribal chief. Fatu, Sikoa, Tamatonga, Jimmy, here we go. New bloodline, and they all turn heel. And then you have The Rock, the babyface Rock versus heel Roman Reigns at this WrestleMania. Now, because I think Roman Reigns, if he's not doing dastardly shit and controlling with an iron fist,
Kind of sucks.
he's kind of boring.
Yeah.
And he kind of gets boring the other way too. But do you think that's possible? Do you see a world where they can, because The Rock is super over as a babyface right now, according to his presentation on Raw and the reaction, but so is Roman Reigns. Do you see a world where a Roman Reigns heel turn, A, could make sense, and B, could actually work at this juncture?
I mean, I put out they had a new shirt come out this week, didn't they? I was about to say, I say milk it for one more t-shirt, and then fuck yeah. I think he sucks as a babyface.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
me too.
So who cares?
Yeah. So
I mean, do you throw Solo to The Rock or
well, yeah. See, so once you get the
or does Solo just
Roman Reigns
kiss the ring?
Roman Reigns comes out and he's like, "Hey, man, all y'all new bloodline stooges,
You're mine.
Acknowledge me."
Yeah.
Get
in line.
And then they all, fall in line. I love you, Roman.
Norman.
Yeah.
I love you, Norman.
Reigns. And then, and as always, like, a benevolent leader, he accepts Solo Sikoa back into his ranks. He's like, "Hey, young lion, I get it. You had to go for it. It wasn't your time, but
may never be.
But admire the hustle,
Can't
knock the hustle. But here, buddy, here's your, here's your role." So they got the new bloodline, and then, but then that would involve The Rock working, like, because The Rock's not going to work a bunch of matches. But I was going to say he could, like, work his way through the new bloodline, but he's not going to work a bunch of matches. Yeah. But
I mean, do we want Jay?
Jay's doing his own thing.
Yeah, as long as Jay's on a different brand and he acknowledges it without acknowledging.
Right.
He was just like, "Man, I see what's going on. I don't like it, but y'all take care of it."
Jimmy is not going to take off as a solo the way Jay has. So I think his role will just switch him back heel, and he's bloodline cannon fodder.
He's he's just like, "Man, I got to do what I got to do."
Yeah.
So he'll never attack Jay.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look, I'm here, but you leave my brother alone."
But but he understands that his career, he has never achieved the heights that he achieved with the bloodline leader, led by Roman Reigns. Yeah. And so whatever Roman says, he's like, I'm good. I'm good with it.
But he just asked for one pass.
Just leave Jay out of it.
Yeah.
Sure. But the reason we're having any of these conversations, because if you recall last episode and the immediate aftermath of the first Raw on Netflix, we were like, okay, well, he's not coming to WrestleMania. The reason there's been any doubt is the absolutely bonkers, unhinged promo that The Rock cut on NXT last week.
Well, thanks to the guidance of his mouth agape daughter.
Yeah, well, you'll just go, you'll just feel it.
Yeah.
You'll feel the energy of the crowd. So
it's different in NXT.
He went out there
it's on
and
CW.
half drunk I'm convinced.
Tequila.
Yeah.
Like, wait, all of them, they're just like, what was he drink? Was that whiskey? And I'm just like, he owns a tequila company. He's drinking tequila.
He goes up there half crocked
Yeah.
and fucking like cusses up a blue storm on
loves the F word.
network television.
Sure.
And
lower tier network.
Sure.
Lower budget.
Formerly what would have been known in the 80s as a UHF channel.
The WB.
Yeah. So, yeah, he cuts this profanity-laden promo where he kind of doesn't really say anything. But the only thing of substance he does say is he's calling out internet wrestling commentators and internet wrestling fans in general. And, you know, he's like, last year,
is that us?
That's kind of us.
Okay.
And our audience. He said, last year, you guys wouldn't shut up about me being mean to Cody. And this year, you won't shut up about me being nice to Cody. How about this? You know your role. You shut your mouth and enjoy the ride that The Rock is taking you on. The Rock is 20 steps ahead of you at all times. He cut this promo on January 7th.
Yeah.
The Rock on January 6th announced that the next time he is going to be addressing the WWE Universe will be on January 27th, 20 days removed from January 7th. And that very episode of Monday Night Raw that falls on January 27th happens to be emanating from the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, where was the last time The Rock had been seen preceding that Raw, and that's where he gave the 3, 2, 1, that thing at Bad Blood.
Yeah.
So all that playing together has led to.
And isn't the 27th when they're Roman and Paul? So they're doing the thing. It's the WB 2K20.
They said that Roman was going to come back on January 27th, and then it was alert the media, and then they went into an office that had the 2K25 logo on the door, and then immediately the cover of 2K25 got leaked featuring Roman and Paul Heyman, and there's going to be an announcement relating to 2K25 on the 28th. So
okay. It was so funny because
it's all kind of tied in. But
Wade Keller was, I believe it might have been Jason Powell. Anyway, friends of the show.
Yeah.
They were when they saw the WB 2K25 thing, they're just like, is that they're like, do they put out the games like it's the title of the game the year before? And so like so is this just like a new download for last year's game, or is this the new game? And they're like, I'm pretty sure it's last year's game. And I was just like, oh my god. Dude, it's like listen to your mom talk about technology.
Yeah. We love you guys.
It's just like, no, I think you hold the button or you press it.
Yeah.
There's a button.
It's 2K25. We're sure. And
it was like I was just like, please just stop guessing.
So the last year it kind of worked out. They announced the game around this time, and then it came out right before WrestleMania. So if they're working on that timeline again, so they'll
it's the new game. Folks.
But anyway, that's when Roman's coming back. So basically, we're in a holding pattern. I think we'll know something then whether or not The Rock is gonna get involved. But Royal Rumble is gonna be nuts.
Yeah, and
this WrestleMania season is gonna be awesome. But Rock is kind of the. Whereas last year he was the third wheel, this year he's like the missing puzzle piece. It kind of he's like, well, okay, well, I'll keep my wheel metaphor. Last year he was the third wheel. This year he is like the hub of which everything
he's the spinner wheel
that needs to turn.
He's the US Championship spinner belt.
He's Top Gear is what he is, ladies and gentlemen. So
you should be like you know how Lyra Valkyria she does the bird references.
Yeah.
You should only do like
wheel references from now on. I used to play at for years. I played at a honky tonk in Nashville called The Wheel, and
You worked in little.
It was I don't know. That's just what I always think about. I wish there was a better story there. But somebody who does have a lot of good stories, Jonny Fairplay, and we have to mention him right now. In the dearly departed file, he passed away last week. Professional wrestler known as Black Bart, which we're just I watched a whole shoot interview on this guy, and he had a million stories. Can't remember his real name though. Sure. But he would like to be remembered as Black Bart. But he was crucial in the Mid-Atlantic territory for a few years. He was Mid-Atlantic champion, national champion, Mid-Atlantic tag team champion. He was in the stable with managed by J.J. Dillon, the pre-Horseman J.J. Dillon. And he was a Dusty guy. Dusty loved him. So he had a big match Starrcade 84, big match Starrcade 85. You can seek those out. His match with Ron Bass was a bull rope match on Starrcade 85. And that's great. And then he left the Mid-Atlantic territory, went on to World Class, Texas, working for Fritz. And he was there world champion for well over a year. And, he was top guy there. Did some shots for Vince, WWF, but just lifelong worker. And if you
came back to WCW under Dusty's
that's right,
formed the Desperados.
Oh wow!
With you had blocked that out of your memory. Fortunately for you,
I didn't know because I checked out because WCW gotten so fucking lame.
Well, this was the epitome of lame.
You sent it to me.
Yeah. So the Desperados were Black Bart, Dutch Mantel, and
Moondog Rex, Randy Colley,
and he was Dead-Eye Dick.
Yeah,
and it was a series of vignettes. And the purpose of these vignettes were they were searching for Stan Hansen. They were going to bring Stan Hansen to WCW, and apparently there was never a payoff for this.
Well, it's funny that you sent me that, and I watched as much of it as I could.
It was painful.
It was really bad, and I think I got halfway through it, and I just sent you a text. I was like,
"Dag nabbit!"
I was like, "This sucks."
Yeah.
It was kind of and then I was like, I'm just going to watch this Black Bart shooter interview, which was I couldn't stand to watch another 2 minutes of the thing that you sent me. But I was like, but I'm going to sit here and watch this entire 2-hour shoot interview with this guy. And it was one of the first things he covered. And
it was the Desperados.
Yeah. And his story was Stan Hansen never had anything to do with it. They called him up and they were like, "Hey, can we use your name in this?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Sure." But there was never any intention of Stan Hansen showing up or anything. They were just like, we're just going to do this. The thing that you sent me was apparently not a series of vignettes. It was that whole segment aired on television in the form that it exists in now on the internet.
No, there were more.
Okay.
Yeah. No, these vignettes were 6 minutes long and they were not good.
They're really long.
It was a one-note joke just played over and over again.
And according to Black Bart, the intention was we're going to do these vignettes and then this is going to get shopped around and picked up for a sitcom. And he said they had the contract signed and the whole thing was ready to go. And it fell apart because Ric Flair was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You don't have me on TV this week and you've got this shit on TV. This sucks." And apparently that was the end of the Desperados once Ric Flair reared his head and threw his 2 cents in. That's the gospel according to Black Bart.
So we need to thank Ric Flair for that.
We do.
Although I feel like those could be that series, I'm sure it would be a TBS, shitty sitcom.
Yeah.
That series could be a Wrestle Crap box set.
It's basically the wrestling version of the gang who can't shoot straight, but goofy outlaw cowboy.
It was
painful.
It was the Apple Dumpling Gang. It was the cowboy version of the Black Widows from Every Which Way But Loose. Yeah, it was so much bad.
As
Dag nabbit, and hit him with the hat as many times as you can.
As was a lot of WCW at the time, but before the downturn of WCW, ladies and gentlemen, we had the glory days.
We do.
Of Jim Crockett Promotions, which we go on and on about week after week, because that was the wrestling that made me a lifelong fan.
Yeah.
And speaking of lifelong, you're a lifelong fan yourself.
Yeah. So I grew up here. Used to go to the. I remember going to George Washington High School.
You used to do spot shows there.
I went there. I remember seeing like Andre the Giant. I had to have been like 4 years old.
Right.
I remember that. I remember going to the Greensboro Coliseum around 4 and 5. To seeing some of that stuff. So I grew up with it. My family. A lot of my family has always loved wrestling. There's probably equal amount or 45% that equally hated it because of the love of that the others had. I'm sure you.
But it was always you and your dad. That was y'all's thing.
Yeah. But my great grandparents loved it. So my mom called me last week and she's like, "Hey, I made dinner. Your grandfather's here and he's got some wrestling pictures for you." And I was like, okay. And so my grandfather is 90 years old. He drives he has a dump truck that he delivers gravel. So a week and a half ago, he was delivering gravel in the wrong spot, flipped his truck over.
Oh no.
And so totaled his truck. So he's finally retiring at 90. So he had a couple of internal injuries potentially, but OxyContin apparently has cured all that, or doesn't know if he does. Yeah. So he did have a follow-up visit he's good. Yeah. He's good to go. So, but 9 years old. So anyway, so he has like 8 houses all over town, but one of the houses is his parents' old house, and in one of the drawers was a stack of pictures that he doesn't know if they went to this match or someone brought them pictures. He's guessing that they went to this match, and we did a little investigation.
What it is, ladies and gentlemen, it's I wish it was more photos, but what we have. They're really great. They've been well preserved. They must have been like if they were in a desk, they were probably like in an envelope or something in the desk because they were remarkably preserved. But it's a little series of photos from the Great American Bash 1986, which you remember was the Great American Bash tour. We gotta get in there. There we go. It was a tour. This is the stop on the Roanoke portion of the tour. Here we go. We didn't rehearse any of this, ladies and gentlemen.
We're freestyling.
Yeah. And so what we're going to do is we're going to watch this slideshow that we've presented or that I put together. And then we're going to go back through it and talk about some of the matches. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen, a little slice of what you would have seen if you were in Roanoke, Virginia on July 11th, 1986 at the Great American Bash.
That would have been the music too.
Something like that. Look at that. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to get a better look at all of that, of course you can find it on my YouTube channel, which is what I'm trying to find right now. Why don't you get that dialed in for us? That back arrow button is cranky, so we can hit pause on that.
We will. Are we going to go through?
Oh yeah, let's pause right there.
All right. So we got a
handsome devil. Then this was the picture that was sitting on top of the pile when I saw it last week, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Just a fantastic picture of course, Magnum TA Terry Allen, who is from Virginia. He's from Virginia Beach, but here he is hanging out with a wrestling fan, a dedicated wrestling fan,
with a Ricky Rudd
trucker hat on, because there was not a lot of wrestling merch available for Crockett Promotions back in these days. Surely Magnum TA would have been wearing his own T-shirt, and eventually they did have some. You could buy T-shirts at the shows.
I would imagine that's a Harley shirt,
but that's probably a Harley shirt, or just like an eagle.
Yeah,
because he was the boss before the final boss. Magnum TA was the boss. But I mean, look at that fucking guy. I mean, he had it.
I'm rocking the same hair right now.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's mullet-esque.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah, he had
There's not a lot of difference.
Would have been a top star for many years to come had he not had his tragic auto accident. And this same year, this is July of '86. By October of '86, 4 months later, his career was over.
Yeah,
his career was over.
All right.
So they had some kind of meet and greet at this show, apparently, and then here's another portion of the meet and greet.
Ricky Morton
looking like a young Ryan
Gosling.
Looking like a young Ryan Gosling there at the meet and greet. And then here he is, of course, at all the stops of the Great American Bash Tour in 1986. There was a musical component.
Yes.
And a lot of those shows were headlined by this guy, David Allen Coe, who was a close personal friend of Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes' vision was this whole country music and pro wrestling, baby. And the people who love it, and they bring it a kid and the fireworks and everything. And so I guess David Allen Coe probably did not perform Come Stain on My Pillow at any of the stops. That was one of his big hits. So he probably didn't play this, but here's Ricky Morton getting up, and they're probably doing Johnny Be Good or something like that.
So I'm guessing the format was whoever Flair was going against in that city, that baby face would come out during David Allen Coe, because I was at the Great American Bash in Greensboro,
as was I, and
Dusty came out with David Allen Coe, and so we see later it's Ricky Morton versus Ric Flair.
I think that holds water until you start to think that some of Flair's other opponents on this tour were Wahoo McDaniel, both of the Road Warriors, Ronnie Garvin. I don't see Road Warrior Hawk coming out and singing Johnny Be Good, or Wahoo McDaniel for that.
I would. I think both of them a few Miller Lights in. Yes, sir.
Well, that's a research project that you can surely you can surely undertake.
It sucks because I was good friends with Hawk. He would have been like, "Oh yeah, brother. Oh my God." He
could have told you.
Yeah. That hurt. That one hurts. Yeah, but look, they're packed to the rafters, folks.
Well, yeah, well, that's that
was blocked off.
Yeah, that was well, apparently not, because there's some people, but I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did a good house in Roanoke.
Oh yeah, that tour was they were printing money.
Well, they were and they weren't, because they tried to do some big outdoor shows.
Yeah,
those were not great. They did RFK Stadium. They took a bath on that. Veterans Stadium in Philly. They did the Memphis Mid-South, that big arena. That show didn't do great. But when they ran, their core towns.
Yeah. Greensboro,
Charlotte, Asheville. I'm sure Roanoke did well.
Raleigh.
So they made money. And famously, Flair, they didn't do Raleigh. They did a taping in Raleigh for the Saturday night show. But they didn't do a bash there. But it was a big show. But leading up to the Great American Bash Tour, Flair specifically, and he was carrying a lot of the weight, you know, because he was going to have to defend the title at every stop on this thing. And but he was, you know, pumping up the boys. He was like, hey, come on, boys. It's like 14 Starcades, because Starcade was their big payoff. And he was like, we're going to do 14 Starcades a month. We're going to be rich. Didn't work out that way, but definitely it did generate a lot of income for the promotion and a lot of great memories as well, which we're investigating here. So the card gets underway, and here we see our first match would be our I don't think they're the national tag team champ. That looks like the world television title right there. So we have the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, Arn and Ole Anderson, and the Four Horsemen are a thing at this point in the summer of 1986. But here they are, and probably a pretty early match. They're wrestling against
Denny Brown.
The Denny Brown, rocking the ugliest belt in the world, the NWA World's Junior Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, you're going to want to get a better look at all these pictures because they are in great shape. And this whole my YouTube channel, just YouTube Heath Haynes. But
I'll have them on the Patreon too. So
okay, yeah, I've got the digital and the hard copies for you. So yeah, so here and it looks like Ole might be kind of cracking a smile, which is pretty rare for Anderson.
Yeah.
And we see the back of the ring announcer here. Definitely not Truckin' Tom.
Is that Shivani?
It looks like it might be Shivani, which he did some ring announcing.
Yeah, whenever Truckin' Tom wasn't around. Yeah, he was the backup guy.
Yeah, so that might be.
Because I know he did, like, when they went to Los Angeles, Truckin' Tom didn't come out there.
Right.
And I know he did those gigs. And so,
yeah, it could be Shivani.
Yeah. And I mean, and he was at this time, well, he'd probably moved to Charlotte by then, but he's from Harrisonburg.
Yeah.
So
Stanton out there. He went to JMU, but he's from Stanton,
that same area. So he's probably doing the Roanoke Loop just to go say hey to friends and family.
He's got folks in the he's got family in the area. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, and a couple of photos from a tape fist match.
Yeah. Hands of Stone, Ron Garvin.
Hands of Stone, Ron Garvin versus Tully Blanchard. I don't think I think it was the photo previous, but you can see J.J. Dillon down here in the corner.
Right there.
Looking despondent, trying to cover his face. Yeah. And you see photographers, and right here is probably the back of the head of Jackie Crockett. All these shows were videotaped, but not all broadcast, but they did take selected highlights from this entire tour for an early Turner Home Entertainment Crockett Promotions VHS tape, Great American Bash 86.
Was it called Great American Bash 86 or 86? So I wasn't aware of this. World War III, when it would come out on videotape, they would put next year's year because it would come out the next year on video. So even though it like say it was like World War III 93, they would put World War III 94 on the videotape that they put out. And then World War III the next year, you would think World War IV. Nope, still World War III.
Still World War III, 95.
So yes, this was Great American Bash.
This is just
86.
Yeah,
and it said 86 on the box because they had not become quite as stupid as they would become.
And Great American Bash 85, Crockett didn't even put that out. Pro Wrestling Illustrated put it out. And it was Ringmasters, the Great American Bash. And if you can find a copy of that, good luck, man.
That's worth some coin problem.
They're hard to come by. But yeah, and then we see Tully just doing a fantastic job selling against the ropes. Both men bleeding real good. And of course, 5-time referee of the year, Tommy Young, doing his officiating as only he can. And then here we go in one of the semi-main events, ladies and gentlemen. It's a tag team match, a mixed gender tag team match. Go ahead and get that. There we go. where we have the team of not the Midnight Express, but Beautiful Bobby and Jim Cornette against the team of Dusty Rhodes and Baby Doll. And so I imagine most of this match was Dusty and Bobby, but then here at this moment, we get to see the climax where I'm sure Baby Doll gets to get in and get her measure of revenge against the dastardly Jim Cornette, which the whole angle building up to this series of matches was it was a tag team match with Dusty and Magnum against the Midnight Express, and Cornette gets involved, Baby Doll gets involved, and then he jabbed her in the abdomen with the butt of his tennis racket. And then the story on TV in the weeks following it were he had threatened her ability to bear children.
Yeah.
And that was a bridge too far for, and it got everybody riled up. So at the bash that we saw in '86, because Dusty was in the main event against Ric Flair for the World Heavyweight Championship, it was actually a 6-person steel cage match. The Road Warriors and Baby Doll versus the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette. That's the version of this feud that we got. But here, this is like, I'm sure this match was a lot of fun. And if you work with Bobby Eaton, that's kind of a night off. So Dusty was having a good time, and you know, Baby Doll, all she had to do was get in and like
punch, kick,
maybe a body slam, and then Cornette just had to take bumps and.
Cover up and bump,
and cash that check.
Yeah.
So there we go, semi-main, and then the next match is going to be the first of 2 steel cage matches on the card, and what we have is a 6-man tag with the Road Warriors and their manager Paul Ellering versus I guess it wasn't. It was Ivan Koloff, Baron von Raschke, I think is the third. But it wouldn't have been Nikita because Nikita was working with Magnum and
the best of 7 series.
And match 3 of the best of 7. And I can't remember who the other partner was, but anyway, they have a little tag team match, or maybe it was just Baron von Raschke and Ivan against
the Road
Hawk
Warriors.
and Animal. Yeah, maybe Paul wasn't involved, but there we go, steel cage. And typical of the time, Jim Crockett Promotions, steel cage, not real high.
Yeah.
You know, you see the top of the ring post over there, and the cage only extends, a couple feet past that.
Still no one jumping off it.
Yeah, no.
Even Bobby Eaton. Sorry, brother.
Fuck all that.
It's above my pay grade.
And then, of course, the main event of the evening, Ric Flair defending the World's Heavyweight Championship against Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express. And this is the only shot that we have of it. This is very indicative because although in Jim Crockett Promotions, you could not win by escaping the cage, that never stopped Ric Flair in every cage match he was ever in trying to escape the cage.
So his trunks could be pulled down.
Exactly. They would do a spot where he would try to climb the cage. Babyface would try to pull him down by his trunks. Everybody would see his ass. And then they would go to the other side and do it so both sides of the arena could see Ric Flair's tan line and bare ass. And but anyway, right there, pro wrestling memories that last a lifetime and make lifelong fans, such as myself and Fairplay. So so that was Dynamite. Just a little slice of wrestling history unearthed, never before seen photographs. And of course, if you want to check those out in detail, you can go to my YouTube page, Heath Haynes. We're also going to have the individual shots up on the Patreon. Speaking of the Patreon, how did these people get hooked up with the Patreon?
Yeah, realitypatron.com. That's reality, patron.com. We just got a new Q&A went up last night. Tons of stuff, commercial-free stuff, Castaway watch-alongs for previous seasons of Survivor, all kinds of exclusive stuff. Best way to support the podcast. This shit ain't free, brother.
Holy shit. We've been derelict in our duties. Speaking of, we've got a couple of interactions here on the video, so I would be remiss if we didn't mention Matt Wilson. Wilson writes in. He says, "I watched the first bit of Raw and had the same experience as Heath. the in-ring promo.
Yeah, must be a
going out-
cheapskate.
Going out
Like,
to Chad
yeah,
Gable.
One of
Well,
those,
he-
one
well,
of
he's-
those humanoids.
He's thrifty. He's
Yeah.
thrifty.
Ham and egger.
He knows the value of $1, and obviously he's not going to sign up for the much vaunted premier tier when he knows right in the middle. That's where you want to
Sweet
be.
spot.
Me and Matt Wilson right in the middle,
Yeah.
enjoying our ad-free program on Netflix. And Matt Wilson says he's watching on Netflix in Canada.
We're about to own Matt Wilson.
Doubtful.
I don't know.
Doubtful. But ladies and gentlemen, what we have here
What
is
if he's moving to Greenland?
I don't know, but what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a fine example of the audience engagement that we're hoping to foster here on Wrestling After Show and with the entire Reality After Show YouTube network. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Reality After Show channel. And if you're listening on an audio platform, whatever it may be, Last FM, Spreaker.
Yeah, Spreaker was killing it last week. Who knew?
All of these, we deeply appreciate you. If you can leave a review, leave a comment, engage with us there. But of course, the most direct form of engagement is the comments on the YouTube videos. And we're doing these live now every Tuesday afternoon at 1 p.m. ish. I think we got on at 1:30 today. So
News to say.
So if you're so Matt Wilson, tell your friends. We appreciate you, good sir, for checking us out here today, and everybody out there listening and watching these two aging internet wise asses talking about
The Rock,
and just pretend underwear fighting in general. We love it, and we know you do too, ladies and gentlemen. So that's going to do it for today for Wrestling After Show. For Jonny Fairplay, my name is Heath Haynes. Thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time.